Yeah, I love that my movies take like there are three genres of Michael picks, and you've got your horror movies, your films, and then your like really good, funny comedies,
I'll break it down
and
even
that's it.
simpler. It's gay, sad, scary. That's it.
That's great.
Which also
Yeah.
describes the three of us.
Okay, right, now you have to explain who is who.
Yep, yep.
Oh, it's rough because like all of us are kind of two of the three, huh?
Anyway, Michael, please.
Okay, sad and scary.
Thank you. Welcome to Bible Boys, a podcast where two ex-evangelical siblings and an ex-Catholic non-sibling watch Christian media and either praise or condemn it. I'm Aaron.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Michael.
This week, we celebrate Christmas in January with Single All the Way. Before we have to establish a limit on the number of times we can say the word gunkle, please be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, like and comment on our video, and follow us on Twitter at The Bible Boys.
So let's first start by talking a little bit of pod, behind the scenes. We were talking about what Aaron could do to get canceled versus not. And honestly, the only thing he could do to get canceled, in my eyes, is if he criticizes Jennifer Coolidge in this performance.
I think that it would have been really... I think Michael's being incredibly generous of it warning Aaron about this, because I know straight people love to go after the queen, but they always miss. And it would have been great to see Aaron say something, and then me and Michael immediately have our notes app apologies ready for Aaron damaging our community.
So they address this in the film itself. Her character says, I don't want to work with the gays, because they know theater. It's because they know how to do stuff. They're survivors, and for some reason, they're obsessed with me. I don't know why, but I like it. And I mean, that's a pretty good. That's a broad warning to me to like. All right, I'm not going to step to the queen. Got it.
That felt like more Jennifer Coolidge just like ad-libbing a scene.
Right.
She actually
that wasn't the character. That was just her.
That was actually audio taken from like her in her like little trailer getting ready, just chit chatting with someone, and then they ad-libbed it in there.
100%. Yeah. So this is we've been very busy with the holidays, but we figured we already watched the film, and this is kind of a fun one before we get back into the swing of our normal episodes, and we don't do rom-coms very often on the podcast, and I like rom-coms. I don't know, how do you all like rom-coms?
The rom-com has to be a special little guy for me to really enjoy. Like, I loved Crazy Rich Asians, and there've been like a lot of really good ones recently. I feel like we've been in a renaissance of rom-coms, of really getting some enjoyable moments out there. I always struggle with them on the podcast, because sometimes they're good, and then what if it's a good movie, it's sometimes a little hard for us to be like, yeah, it's funny sometimes. That joke was good. Go watch it.
I love rom-coms. I am a noted defender of even bad rom-coms because I think that they are not supposed to reflect reality. They're supposed to be funny and at their best a little heartwarming in like a cheesy way. So I am a big believer in the rom-com. I've watched so many of them. Every year I watch The Holiday as like one of my favorite rom-coms.
Yeah, for my own background, when I used to go to Singapore, and I couldn't sleep because of jet lag, me and my auntie and my mom would watch rom-coms at midnight, just when I was a young man, and then I genuinely like those big, stupid... This is a thing that, Josh, you might not remember, but from the early 2010s, where there would just be, a huge cast of people. I'm thinking New Year's Eve and Valentine's Day specifically. We're probably going to cover Valentine's Day on Mortified in February, but, those stupid,
Yes.
Overarching, everybody has a weird plot that connects somewhere. I love that shit. I eat that shit up. And, the only, bad rom-com I've seen was actually probably for this podcast, which was, of course, Christian Mingle, which was a terrible film.
Oh my god, I forgot about Christian
Yeah, you remember
Mingle.
that shit? But now we're gonna watch a good one to balance it out. So I'm very excited. This is a Netflix production. I think it was released in 2022. I think it's 2021, December 2021. So it's a year old at this point. But I think it was pretty fun, and it does exactly what I want from a rom-com. So I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I feel like I am going to spoil my own review because just like upon watching it on second viewing, it's everything I want from a Christmas movie, but there's no like whitewashing of gay people. Like they're just everyone's a little gay and there's several gay characters and you've got it playing on stereotypes that feels more in than it does out, right? Like it doesn't feel like they're making fun of the people, they're making fun of the stereotype, which I enjoy. Like, one of my favorite jokes is, what's the first thing a gay guy does on his second day in a new town? And that's join a gym.
Right. Which, Michael, you've moved to New York. Can you confirm?
I mean, I already have a gym at my school that I scoped out. So, yes.
There we go. 100% crushed it.
Technically, I had joined a gym before I had moved.
Right. Ahead of the curve. Trendsetter.
Michael, the point is so important because, anything that portrays gay characters where they're really going to examine their sexuality, there is always a moment where I'm like, all right, hold my breath a little bit, see if there were any gay people in the room while this character was being written, and you can super tell in this movie that it was made by a lot of gay people.
Yeah. And, I think that there are critiques and criticisms, of course, but you can tell the gay people wrote this. I mean, Jennifer Coolidge is in it. Doesn't need I say more. I don't feel like she does anything with straight people anymore.
Yeah. Who wants to do the summary?
I'll go because I kind of picked this.
This also has This is a Michael movie.
Yeah, I mean, if you couldn't tell.
Unless there were... the only way it could be more Michael is if, a giant ghost ended up in the end and me and Aaron pissed ourselves watching it.
Next year.
Yeah, I love that my movies take, there are 3 genres of Michael picks, and you've got your horror movies, your films, and then your, really good, funny comedies.
I'll break it down even simpler. It's gay, sad, scary. That's it.
Sad, scary.
Which also describes the 3 of us.
Okay. Right, now you have to explain who is who.
Yep.
Oh, it's rough because all of us are kind of 2 of the 3, huh?
Anyway, Michael, please.
Okay, sad and scary.
Thank you.
So we meet our protagonist, Peter. He's a social media strategist in LA. And he is so excited to bring his boyfriend home to New Hampshire to meet his family. But then his roommate, who is a TaskRabbit, finds out that his boyfriend is actually married to a woman. Surprise! And so obviously they break up. And Peter is like, Nick, that's his roommate, you should come back to New Hampshire with me and pretend to be my boyfriend. Let's just get my family off my back. And this is one of those TV tropes of Christmas movies that I love. I love the realism of the family. So, are you seeing anyone? Oh, you're the single one. His dad makes the joke that he's in his phone is either asking for money or the single one.
Hold on. So I want to talk about that. Is this a thing that happens to you two and your family? Or happened, I suppose, now that you both have partners, but in your lives?
This is way more of a distant relative thing. Our parents are way more of our parents met each other when they were 4. That's an exaggeration, but they were so young when they started dating. So when we didn't meet our final partners at 14, they were like, oh, this might take a second. So that was an outlandish idea for you, Aaron. I apologize.
Yeah, fucking wild.
But I definitely have had grandparents that are you seeing anyone? And I am freshman in college. Like, I'm not getting married now and then getting divorced in 3 years and then get married again and then divorced 3 years after that. Break the family tradition.
Yeah, I think that my experience was more, I was in a long-term relationship and I would have people ask me, when are you getting married? And that was kind of a wild but similar thing that it would be a relative I hadn't seen in 2 years. And they'd be like, so when are you getting married?
It's like,
And I'm
I
like,
don't
that
know you
seems
well
like
enough for you to answer that question.
right. I'm like looking at my watch going, oh, I didn't realize that we're in the inappropriate question hour.
Mhm.
Have you stopped drinking? Like,
Yeah, we
I
can
did
play
have
this
to
game.
I did have to tell an aunt that the goal was to only do it the one time, so I wanted to wait a little bit, which was probably a little too mean for the situation. But my God,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so the single trope I think is definitely true.
Okay. So Peter is relatable.
this is rom-com like enemies to lovers, the "who did this to you" scene in every fan fiction. That's for our Tumblr individuals that are still listening to our podcast.
Hi, Bailey.
Hey Bailey, thank you for still listening. And like that's the equivalent of this trope of like everyone knows it, everyone expects it, but you get a little excited when you see it again.
Right. And also, fake dating is fun. The fake dating doesn't actually come up here for reasons that Michael's going to explain, but I was like kind of hyped for them to be like, okay, yeah, I love the fake roommates to lovers thing. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that was, I also think it was a good fake out for them to start off with it. And then it's like they get there and Peter's mom, Carol, who I will be respectfully referring to her by her preferred name, which is Christmas Carol.
Yes, 100%. This is, of course, played by Kathy Najimy of Hocus Pocus fame. It's the only other movie I know she's in, so.
She's excellent. So Christmas Carol says, hey, surprise, I arranged a blind date, which is every person's nightmare to go on a blind date set up by one of their parents. So she says, you and my spin instructor are going to go out. And Nick is like, oh my God, you should go. This is amazing. So the fake dating thing, yeah, it doesn't actually happen.
Right. Nick is very funny in this scene because he does immediately stab Peter in the back. And he's like, oh yeah, no, we're not dating. Of course. I'm just hanging out because I like Peter, my roommate. You should go on this fake date with your mom's trainer. This will be awesome for you, idiot. Which is very good. Nick is my favorite character in this.
Nick is by far the best character in this. I think like that's... well, second best.
Okay. I'm excited for... oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we all know the best character.
The pod just gets quiet, like, of course.
Yes,
We're like Aaron questioning who's the best one, getting real close to homophobia there, Aaron.
Yeah. Get a catalog of my homophobic incidents in the other 80 episodes of this podcast.
Oh, I'm adding it to it. Don't worry. I'm ready to cancel you at any point.
Great.
So the rest of Peter's family starts coming in. So his dad gets there, his sisters, and then the star, Jennifer Coolidge, who plays Aunt Sandy, walks in singing. And just, honestly, I'm someone that, like, I work in an industry that often sucks the Christmas joy out of me because I hear Christmas music pretty constantly for about 2 months. But God damn if Aunt Sandy didn't put me right into the Christmas spirit in January. I wanted to like help her direct the Christmas pageant. And that is, the Christmas pageant is actually my excuse for why this is a religious movie, because they do tell a like outright religious version of Christmas, which I have found, I've watched this movie twice now. In both, I'm so surprised at how overt and like it is full all caps Christ miss.
Mm-hmm.
This
100%.
is the equivalent of like the Charlie Brown Linus speech. Like just that's the excuse that we found to get this into Bible Boys. Like we watched the entire Charlie Brown short being like, all right, it's coming. Okay, now this is the part that makes it Bible Boys material.
So yeah, Sandy's directing the children's Christmas pageant and has been inspired by Christmas music. which I think is camp. Um, and then Peter's dad actually takes Nick aside and he said, "Hey, I think that you and Peter should be a thing. You are obviously good for each other." And that Peter seems at his happiest when he's with Nick, which is just so cute. I love the meddling parents. Like, I don't know, maybe it's because it's close to home for me, but parents that care so much that they feel the need to meddle is the trope that I also enjoy.
I do. I just want to point out, I can't imagine our dad doing anything kind of like this at all. But you are right, though.
My
Our mother would do both.
My favorite bit in this is when Kathy Najimy talks to Peter, and she's like, "No, I read this book. It's called Loving Your LGBT Child," and like, kind of right. This is where it's very much like a joke that is written for gay people, where it's like, yeah, we all have like those parents who want to be supportive but do it in the weirdest way possible, which is to read self-help books and misunderstand them.
Yeah, that's like when my mom texts me annually when she watches the new season of Queer Eye. Like, I appreciate it, but who's it for?
Yeah.
Who's it for, Christmas Carol?
It was really funny when it came out, because like the first thing that happened was I got added to those threads.
Excellent. Great. That's what. Listen, it's probably going to be a while yet before I'm a parent, but I often think about like the best way to become a supportive father to my hypothetical children, and like, this is the kind of thing that I would do. It'd be like, okay, I have a list in my head, or actually, it would actually genuinely be like a list of traits and interests on my phone that I keep. It's like, okay, child X likes these things, and like, kind of like an RPG character, when it's like, okay, this thing happened to them, I'm going to write down that little trait, and that's going to help me determine who they are as a person. So if Josh came to me and he was like, Papa, I'm gay now, I'd be like, all right, yes, let me just add the homosexual trait down on my notes app. Because of this, you unlock conversations about Queer Eye, right? I would be, this is me as also the parent who wants to be helpful but also fucks it up completely. Like, this is me in like 30 years, right? Because I would be very surprised if when we have kids we don't get any queer people. It would be very surprising to me. So like, it'll be interesting.
There's something so on brand yet insane of you min-maxing parenting. You're gonna have the folder that was filled with your D&D spreadsheets and just add one that's like kid.
Right? Yeah, I know. Like, I'm gonna have a spreadsheet for my children. Like, that makes sense.
They'll all have character sheets. So where are we? Oh yeah, Peter goes on some dates with the spin instructor. So first of all, he's hot. Thank God. Right? Like, we couldn't have this go any other way. And so they go to Mrs. Claus's coffee shop and have this cute little like latte scene where both of them just forget how to drink beverages. And still, I'm not quite sure what happens to both of them. Like, Peter almost does a spit take, but the spin instructor, I'm not quite sure how he fucks up drinking the latte.
He like flinches at some comment and gets all over.
Yeah, and I'm like, I've made many a face when drinking a beverage, but I just don't think it's ever just like spilled out like that.
So I am revising a book that I'm working on right now, and like, this is a writing thing. I think it's like, okay, how do I show my audience that my character is having a strong reaction to something that this other person says? And it's always like a very outsized response, and in my revisions it's like, okay, that's too much, I have to cut it. But for like a thing like this, like, that's fun, right? If you're gonna do a cornball romantic comedy, it's just like, whatever, they're spilling their drinks all over each other because they're nervous and they want to have big silly reactions, and I like that.
There's also the gay stereotype that gay men are horrible at drinking coffee. Like, it just gets everywhere.
No, I just think that's a Michael stereotype. I don't think that's a generally gay man.
I was trying to get Aaron to believe incorrect things about our community.
You gotta warn me about these things ahead of time.
Normally we're on the same wavelength, and you'll just yes and me, and then talk about how like gay people are afraid of yellow. And
that one is true, actually.
Quite frightening.
Good.
So then they go and get a Christmas tree because Christmas Carol decided to get the ugliest fake white tree you've ever seen. And Peter is like, no, we're getting a real tree. Uh, they also go skiing, but one thing is similar about all of their dates. Peter just constantly talks about Nick. That's all he wants to talk about is how cool Nick is and how big his arms are and how handy he is. And like, he really, I can't imagine being this instructor.
I feel so bad for James throughout the entire movie. Like, we'll get to this at the end, but like, there's a bit where like James is invited to the Christmas pageant, and he just sees Nick and Peter like hanging out, like being so like, you know, clearly in love with each other, but not acknowledging it. And James is like, I gotta go. I'm the sacrificial lamb of this movie, and I just have to be punished by watching these people fall in love.
Yeah, it really is a punishment. But Peter says, hey, I'm going to move back to New Hampshire. I want to start my plant life, which is another very relatable thing about Peter, being such a plant parent. But Peter's boss then calls him and says, oh, yeah, that ad campaign that you were doing, we want real people instead of models. And so his dad has this great idea and says, why don't you photograph Nick? But Nick doesn't want to. They finally convince him, and they have many a cute moment where it's very clear that Peter is realizing his feelings towards Nick. And the photo shoot's a success. It looks good. Like, it looks like what they're looking for.
It doesn't hurt that Nick is just like genuinely one of the most attractive people like in cinema. Like, he's just like, we don't want models, we just want these incredibly conventionally attractive people.
Like, oh, you mean like models that are regular people? Cool.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want models. We want actors playing regular people that are also models.
So his sister's daughters are also like really into, they ship Peter and Nick. They are all about this. They are trying to make it happen. So they do this, they force Nick to admit that he has feelings for Peter. And then I think then is when they have their dance party with Peter too.
So I want to talk about the dance party thing, because do either of you have like cousins who are young women?
Yes.
Okay. Do you all have this kind of relationship with them?
I think borderline. Like, it's maybe a little less close, but yeah.
They were like babysat by our mom for like the first half of their life. So
okay.
for a long portion of time we did, and now that, you know, older and further away, a little less so. But yeah.
Right. This relationship between Peter and his nieces are, I mean, I guess they're technically, are they nieces or cousins? I don't remember.
I think they'd be nieces.
Yeah, nieces. But
yeah.
This reads very authentic to me, just because like this seems like a thing that would happen where it's just like you have kind of like a fun, like slightly older relative, but like that still like wants to do the cool things that you want to do. I really liked this scene. I really liked the teens. I think they're really cute and fun and terrible. It's what Lisa and Daniela, I believe, are their names. And they do some really funny stuff. Is this, I think like immediately after this, they're like, okay, we need to start forcing Nick and Peter together. And like they start doing a bunch of like weird heist things. Like Nick is up on the roof, right? And he's like repairing something for their house, and they move the ladder out from under him, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? And they're like, you have to admit you love our uncle. And he's like, please let me down. And then another thing is that they fall asleep in Peter's bed. And they force Peter to go and share a bed with Nick, and like
there's only one bed.
The only one bed. Right. I just love that it's not just like, oh, you know, circumstance happened. It's a deliberate like execution of this trope by your terrible nieces, and
I love
they're
it
great.
because those girls are very online,
Mhm.
so they know about that trope. They're
Yes,
like, let's make this happen.
yes, 100%.
I mean, it's literally there's a Parent Trap movie going in the background of this rom com.
Yeah, it's great.
It really is. Uh, so then we get to see none other than Aunt Sandy's Christmas pageant. But first, the girls want to make their costume sexy.
I hate this so much. It made me so uncomfortable.
I love it because it feels so real. So they make their costume sexy, and Christmas Carol is like, sexy's fine when you're my age.
Yeah, and then Peter does the thing. He's like, "Let's walk this back a little bit, ladies," and they're just like, "All right, we'll take it from you, Uncle." But that's it. Very funny.
And let's talk a little bit about the Christmas pageant, because I wish that we had Christmas pageants like this. The acting is intentionally bad, like in a way that like these child actors are so talented because they are sounding like they're reading lines, and the rest of the film they sound like they're just people having conversations. But I love seeing Sandy read both parts and give directorial advice. It's just watching Jennifer Coolidge be a director makes me want her to direct a movie that I'm starring in. Yeah, and it wouldn't be a Christmas movie if we didn't have a Christmas miracle. So inspired by the pageant, Nick confesses how he feels to Peter. And Peter is kind of waffling on it. He's like, oh, I don't know. Is this going to hurt our relationship? Like, will we be able to be roommates? And what I wanted to tell him is gay people have been disguising their relationship as roommates for centuries. This is great.
Please tell me you guys saw the Roman villa that was filled with penises and murals of the owner and someone, another man having sex. And they're like, oh, these were two gladiators that were roommates and friends.
Roommates. So Peter is then invited by James to celebrate the pageant, and Nick is like, I'm leaving. And he decides, all right, while I'm here, I'm a hustler, I'm gonna take one more job. And like, this man must make money being a TaskRabbit, because he is always working. He is just constantly working. And so he's repainting a shop where the owner is retiring and is going for sale. And James is like, hey, Peter, you're kind of into your roommate. I don't know if you know this, but you're not that into me. And Peter's like, oh shit, you're right. I am into my roommate. So he goes to find Nick, and Nick has left. So he sees Nick's car at the shop, and he walks in, and Nick is like, hey, I went ahead and got you a Christmas present. I paid for 6 months rent in this shop so you can open a plant store.
This is the most unrealistic thing about this film.
6 months rent.
I'm
sorry.
I'm Nova pilled, where I don't know. Like, for the idea of spending 6 months rent here would mean that, like, a rich uncle we didn't know died and really liked me. And that's the only way that anyone around here could afford that. Is New Hampshire, like, Ohio-y in its rent prices? Or...
I do not believe so.
I mean, you get the impression it's a smaller town, so it's going to be, like, cheaper. But yeah, this is by far the most unrealistic part of the movie. In a movie that doesn't feel all that concerned with realism, this is where the shark has been jumped.
This is the point where I was like, oh, this is a movie.
I am looking up Bridgewater, New Hampshire average rent right now. Just to compare cost of living. Let's see.
I mean, it's gonna seem cheap for me. I've just
Well,
gotta say.
you live in a very expensive place. For a studio apartment in New Hampshire, the average price is a little under $800. A one bed is a little under 900. So it's not, it's probably cheaper than what you two are working with. But
I want the audience to know this. When I told Aaron what I was paying for my one bedroom apartment, his exact response was, "Oh, that's great. Were there any cheaper options around?" And I laughed for 30 seconds.
yeah, listen, I live in the Midwest. I don't know what you want. But it's still like, a magnitude. Like, I would not give even my favorite roommate in the whole world that I was not married to, like a $4,000 to $5,000 present for Christmas. That is too much.
Yeah, that's too generous. Well, that is enough to convince Peter with all of his doubts, obviously. And they kiss, and on Christmas Day, they tell the parents and the family, so we're dating, we're moving to New Hampshire together, and we're opening a plant shop. And with those rent prices, I actually do believe a plant shop owner and a TaskRabbit would be able to afford it. I am presently tearing my hair out at that comparison.
You live in like one of the top 5 most expensive cities in the country. So like, yeah, that's fair.
And I did move from one of them to another one.
Yes, exactly
so.
right. Your rent situation did not get any better.
Nobody needs to step the fuck up, because like all I get is a closeness to sheets.
I will say one thing that is introduced is that Nick is like an incredibly successful children's author, which is very funny to me as somebody who wants to be an author, that he has this kind of like children's authors actually make a decent amount of money. I think not great, but like it's fine. But like that's where he gets his money from. It's set up, and like the thing that ends the movie is that he's writing a sequel, and it's very cute because in the end, him and his dog and Nick are all moving to New Hampshire, and that's very nice. And I liked that. It was a cute ending.
It was very satisfactory. Yeah, I feel like this was a fun one. I had a lot of fun watching it. I mean, I watched it a second time. I'm not someone who rewatches films all that much. If we review a film that I've seen already, I'll go off of my memory unless it's been like a long time. But yeah, this one I watched the first time last year and decided to watch it again.
It's just I don't know, it's exactly what it says it's gonna be. So if like the description of a like gay rom-com on Netflix, if that has any appeal to you, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. I think it's really nice. I mean, I don't know. Do we have any fun facts or points we wanted to bring up about it?
I had one, and Michael might have this one as well. And it's around, of course, the all important character of Jennifer Coolidge, where the role was written with her in mind, and then they because the producer said that she was among the things that he, and I'm quoting here, would want to see in a gay Christmas movie.
I have some fun facts that make this a really fun movie. So the 3 romantic leads, Peter, Nick, and James, are all actually openly gay actors.
Nice.
This is not something that happens that often, but Michael Urie, who played Peter, told the filmmakers, if I'm going to be in this, I need all 3 leads to be gay, so that way we can like really kind of take this fake chemistry thing out of it. And the actor who played Nick is actually the first Black actor to star in a major motion LGBTQ romantic comedy.
Good deal.
The snowplow notary singer guy is married to Kathy Najimy.
Oh, the fucking knockoff Larry the Cable guy.
Uh-huh.
Kevin the snowplow guy.
Yes. That's fun.
Yep. Officiated by none other than Gloria Steinem.
Incredible. Great. Excellent.
I think that is like, if you look up fun fact, that is what it gives you.
That's the funnest fact I've heard all year.
And let me see. There are no big errors or mistakes or things like that in the film, which those are typically my favorites. I do have a few quotes that I want to really take us down. So Nick's, or not Nick's dad, what's his name? Peter's dad. My brain is just mixing up names.
Harold.
His dad is like, it's not every day you meet a gay handyman. How did you learn all this stuff? Nick says, on YouTube and HGTV. His dad goes, oh, what's that? A homosexual gay network? And Nick says, basically. And then his dad goes, I'll check it out. HGTV. It's not porn, is it? And Nick goes, kind of.
Yes, also a great joke. All-time joke.
That just felt like it was necessary. In terms of reviews, the negative reviews are like, this is just like all the Hallmark Christmas movies. And
Nobody hanged Hog, Michael.
Like, of course.
Yes, that's the point.
Of course.
Sir.
That's
The point,
the entire point.
the goal we are working towards, what as a society the gay agenda is for every third Hallmark movie to be the exact copy of the last one, except it's two gay characters. That is our goal.
Yes.
And once we achieve that, we retire.
Yeah, that's the gay agenda, really. Yeah, I really appreciated this. I don't have any other fun facts or anything like that, but I'm not surprised the role was written for Jennifer Coolidge, because again, the gays are just obsessed with her.
We should just name this one, The Boys Talk About Jennifer Coolidge, and watch as those views and downloads just come pouring in.
Yeah, I'll have to trick the YouTube algorithm. That's a good idea. Shall we rate this film?
Yeah.
I'm going to give this one one Linus speech about the true meaning of Christmas.
I'm going to give this one a negative Benedict the 16th. Because if you haven't been listening to the news, listeners, in between our last episode and this one, we got him.
Pew, 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 pew.
For those listening, we the Bible Boys did not.
No, but the world did, and for that, we are grateful.
I have to give this one 3 out of 4 Jennifer Coolidge, because my one complaint about this film is there's just not enough of her.
I forget what we do at the end of the podcast. I guess when we're not trying to find more Jennifer Coolidge, where can people find us on the internet?
I'm at Green History on Twitter.
I'm at Michael's Diamonds on Twitter.
I'm at AaronSXL on Twitter. I also have a website that's at AAVoit. Tabletop RPGs, health policy, writing. That's all the stuff I do. So check me out there. We are excited to start a new season of Bible Boys. I think it'll be a fun, interesting, weird season as always. So thank you as always, listeners, for sticking with us.
I would like to open up, if you guys have any suggestions or if there's anything that you want us to review, send it to our way, because we love having a running list of good movies out there that might be. I mean, some of our best ones have been people suggesting, like Velocipaster and what was the gay Mormon rom-com that we watched?
Latter Days.
Yes. So send us your suggestions.
Yeah. That's at the Bible Boys on Twitter. But if the thought of missing us for so long has just brought tears to your eyes, weep not, listeners, because we're back. But if you do want to shed a couple tears, just remember that it is okay to cry, because even Jesus wept. We'll see you all next time.